Okay, imagine this. You've planned the perfect island escape, maybe somewhere amazing like Maui. Flights booked, hotels sorted, you're already thinking about driving those beautiful coastal roads,
Mhm.
but then bam, a key part of your plan, maybe your rental car, just vanishes. Or, maybe worse, the price suddenly shoots up to, well, frankly, unbelievable levels.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that throws a wrench into everything. It turns that dream trip into kind of a logistical nightmare, especially for an island like Maui where, let's face it, you pretty much need a car.
Right. Okay, let's unpack this because that's exactly what we're diving into today. There's been this sudden, really dramatic change in car rental availability and especially pricing on Maui. And it was all triggered by something you might not immediately think of, a big vehicle recall.
Hmm.
Our info for this deep dive comes from a pretty detailed blog post, sort of news article, really, giving us a good ground-level view of what's happening.
Yeah, it lays it out quite clearly.
So our mission here is to figure out the specifics, what actually happened. Why did it have such a massive impact? And crucially, what does this mean for you, the listener, if you're trying to rent, say, a minivan in Maui anytime soon?
Well, the heart of the problem is this. Right now, there are hundreds, literally hundreds, of minivans just sitting grounded at Maui's main airport, Kahului,
Mm.
OGG.
Uh,
They're parked off-site in storage yards, just idle, waiting.
Just sitting there? Why? What caused all these vans to suddenly become unusable?
So on June 30th, Chrysler Corporation put out a recall notice. It covers their 2022 to 2025 Pacifica and Voyager minivans.
Okay.
And the issue is a potential problem with the side curtain airbags, a really critical safety feature for side impacts.
Right, definitely not something minor.
No, not at all. And this isn't just a few vehicles. It affects something like 250,000 minivans across the whole U.S.
Wow. And Maui specifically must be incredibly exposed here. I heard the Pacifica is like the go-to minivan for rental fleets there.
That's exactly it. It's the predominant model. We're talking maybe 3,000 minivan units on the island across all the big rental companies. ACE, Alamo, Budget, Hertz, Enterprise, Payless, Thrifty, the whole lot.
So when a recall hits that specific model,
Yeah.
yeah, the impact is going to be huge in a market that relies on it so heavily.
Which brings us straight to why they had to ground them so fast. There's a legal reason.
Oh, okay.
It's fascinating, actually, how quickly the law forces action here. These companies have to pull the recalled vehicles because of the Safe Rental Car Act. It was enacted back in 2015.
The Safe Rental Car Act. So it's not just like a company policy or suggestion.
Yeah.
It's the law.
Exactly. It's a legal mandate. If a company has a fleet of 35 or more vehicles, they are legally barred from renting, selling, or leasing any vehicle that's under a safety recall until the defect is fixed. Period.
Wow. And how quickly does that kick in?
Almost immediately. For fleets under 5,000 vehicles, they have 24 hours after getting the notice. For larger fleets, over 5,000, it's 48 hours.
Okay, so basically no time to react. The grounding is essentially instantaneous.
Pretty much, yeah. Which explains why the effect on availability was so sudden.
And the direct result of that, of course, is that the price for any minivan not part of the recall, or maybe from smaller companies not covered, just exploded.
Exploded is maybe putting it mildly. Let's look at the actual numbers, because this is where it really hits home if you're a traveler.
You're right.
Okay, so let's take a one-week minivan rental starting July 14th, 2025, picking up at the airport, OGG. Just a few weeks before this hit, like on June 8th, the cheapest you could find was $393 for the week.
Okay, $393. That sounds pretty normal for Maui, maybe even good.
Yeah, and the median price over the past year was around $650 a week. So, $393 was on the low end, but in the ballpark.
Now, compare that to the prices for the same July 14th week after the recall hit.
Okay, Ace Rent-O-Car was listing at $1,472. That's with taxes and fees, but no insurance.
Over $1,400.
Okay, Fox Rent-A-Car, $2,067. And then there was new car rentals. Brace yourself. $4,917 for the week.
Wait, did you say $4,900? For a week? For a minivan?
$4,917, yeah. I mean, that's just astronomical. It's barely believable.
That's insane. And on top of the price, how many were even available at any price for that date?
That's the other kicker. For that specific week, starting July 14th, island-wide, there were only 4 minivans showing available. Just 4. And all of them were from off-airport companies.
So it's not just sticker shock. It's genuine extreme scarcity. You might not be able to get one, even if you were willing to pay those crazy prices.
Exactly. Which leads to the big question everyone's asking, when will things get back to normal? When will prices come down?
Yeah, what's the forecast?
Well, if you look purely at the advanced reservation systems, looking maybe 2 months ahead. The picture seems cautiously optimistic, at first glance, anyway.
Okay. How so?
The booking systems suggest prices stay really high for about 4 or 5 weeks. Then, around the 1 month out mark, availability starts to creep up and prices begin to edge down.
Mm.
And the projection is that things might return to sort of normal levels in about 2 months. So, like, if you look ahead to September 8th, 2025, the system shows minivans back down to around $419 a week with maybe 20 units available.
Okay, 2 months. But here's where it gets really interesting, right? Is that projection actually realistic, considering it's a recall repair situation?
That is the crucial caveat here. These advance prices, they're often just algorithms. They might not reflect the real-world time it takes to get these vans fixed and back on the road.
Because,
Well, two big reasons. First, parts availability. Our experience with airbag recalls specifically is that getting the necessary parts can often take months, not weeks, months.
months just for the parts. Okay, that throws a wrench in the 2-month timeline right there.
It certainly could, and even if the parts magically appeared tomorrow.
You still have to actually install them, right?
Yeah.
And dealership service departments are always busy.
Exactly. They're often totally swamped. Getting service appointments, especially for a large volume of vehicles like this recall might involve, can mean really long lead times. We're talking potentially weeks or even months just to get them into the shop.
So the likely reality is
Mm-hmm.
those prices we see dropping in 2 months on the booking sites might just jump back up again as the actual rental dates get closer and the vans still aren't fixed.
That's a very real possibility. It seems quite likely, actually, that it could take significantly longer than just 2 months for prices and availability to truly normalize. The delays could cause sharp price hikes as those dates approach.
Okay, so practical advice for travelers listening who might be planning a Maui trip, especially if they need that minivan space.
Number one, if you see availability now, even if it's a bit further out and the price seems even remotely reasonable, grab it. Secure it early. Book it.
Lock it in while you can.
Yes. And number two, be flexible. Think about alternatives. Could a large SUV work for your group?
Right, things like a Tahoe or a Suburban, an Expedition.
Mm.
They often seat 7 or 8, same as a minivan.
Exactly. Those models might not be facing the same supply crunch, so they could be more readily available and potentially more reasonably priced.
Good point. And it's also worth remembering some booking websites let you compare multiple companies at once, right? Like
Yeah.
big names Ace, Alamo, Avis, Budget, Dollar, Enterprise, Payless, Thrifty across different locations on Maui.
Yeah, using those can be helpful. And a key benefit many offer is free cancellation. So if you book something now but your plans change, or if, say, prices do miraculously drop later, you might be able to rebook without a penalty. That flexibility is huge right now.
Definitely. Yeah. So stepping back, what's the big takeaway here? What does this Maui minivan situation really tell us?
I think it really underscores how interconnected things are. You have one specific safety recall combined with a specific piece of legislation, the Safe Rental Car Act, and then the unique market dynamics of a place like Maui, heavily reliant on tourism and that one vehicle type. And boom, you get this massive ripple effect. Huge price spikes, availability dries up, all impacting consumers directly.
It really shows how something happening in manufacturing or a regulatory decision can just cascade through the system and hit you, the traveler, right in the wallet, even when it seems totally unrelated at first.
Absolutely. It highlights these potential vulnerabilities, these choke points in supply chains and service delivery that we don't often think about until something goes wrong.
Yeah, it makes you appreciate all the invisible factors that have to line up just right for something as simple as renting a car on vacation to actually happen smoothly.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, maybe it prompts a broader question for you, the listener. When you're making your next big plan, could be travel, could be anything. Are there hidden factors like this at play? Could some obscure issue in a supply chain somewhere, or a new rule you haven't heard about, be quietly influencing the cost or the availability of what you need? What other unseen forces might be shaping the feasibility or the price tag of your next adventure or major purchase? Something to think about.